Greetings viewers, EricTheCarGuy here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to convert from the old Ford single terminal starter with the divorced solenoid to the new style that has the solenoid attached. And we'll talk about the reasons why I think this is a good idea. Many older Ford vehicles use this type of starting setup where they have a solenoid it's mounted somewhere on the inside of the fender well of the vehicle and the starter that's mounted down on the engine. Now there's a cable that runs from the battery to this solenoid, and on the other side of it there's a cable that runs from the solenoid down to the starter itself. So these two things are connected this way. The way I want you to think of this quote-unquote upgrade is, this is what's called a divorced solenoid. This is virtually the same thing, except instead of having the solenoid up here, it's down on the starter. In fact, if you look closely, you can see the similarities right there. You've got one terminal that's for activation, and then you've got basically power coming in and power going into the starter motor. Same thing is true with this, but there's a longer cable that travels between here and the starter than there is between this, which happens right there. Now let's get to the conversion part. Remove your old starter. You can do this in a couple of ways. You can leave this solenoid inside the engine compartment just as it is. And what you do is you take the cable that runs from the starter down to the solenoid and you move it. You move it from the side that it was on that was going down to the starter, and you take it and you move it to the other side. So you bolt it onto the other side. But here's where you might run into a problem. There may be a whole bunch of stuff on here already, and you may not have enough space to take your cable that goes from the starter from one side to the other. In that case, there's a couple of different solutions. Here's one of the ones that I found that frankly didn't work out, and that is these extensions that you can get that go on the ends of these posts so that you can, well, put more stuff on it if you want to. Now this is the correct size, but not the correct thread pitch. I don't know the correct thread pitch for this yet. Now that you've taken your cable that runs from the starter from one side and moved it to the other, there's one more thing you need to do. You need to run a wire from where you used to have the cable that went to the starter from here. It doesn't need to be a thick battery cable wire. It can just be a small wire like this. A wire from here all the way down to this terminal on the new starter. Now this could be a plug-in terminal like this, or it could be a post with a nut on it. Either way, if you connect these two things and leave it alone, your starter solenoid is there. It's probably one of the easiest conversions that you can do. But there are other ways you can do this. Here's another way, and this is the way I've handled this. The reason why there's a pigtail here that goes to that terminal on the starter is because I clipped this, and I took this wire and I eliminated this solenoid altogether, got rid of that. And I took this wire after I clipped it and ran the same wire all the way down to here, because remember, these two things are virtually the same thing. So this and this are virtually the same terminal. So if you turn the key, it's going to send 12 volts to here and activate the starter, just like it would if this was inside the engine compartment and you put 12 volts to here. Because I was able to eliminate this, let me show you what I did. This is my engine. It's a 363 turbocharged. Anyhow, that solenoid used to live right here, and I got what is called a power bus. And these nuts are plastic, they're not metal, but they're a cover over all of this. And what this allowed me to do is it allowed me to take that cable that went down to the starter and put it into this power bus. And this power bus is also connected to the battery as well as the alternator and the accessory and everything that needs power. So this is all battery hot all the time. And if I never needed a jump start or anything like that, I could jump start it from here. But the point is, I cleaned up all of this with this, which is called a power bus. And this eliminated like having a big post sticking off of the side of that solenoid up here with all those wires hanging off of it. And after all that work, this is what, well, approximation of what your new starter will sound like. Now here are some of the reasons I think switching from the older style to the new style is a good idea. One of the biggest reasons I see this as a good upgrade is this starter weighs about 5 pounds less than this one does. Additionally, this starter is not gear reducted in the way that this one is. This one doesn't have to work as hard to turn the engine over. This one does. This one draws lots and lots of amperage. This one draws less as a result of that gear reduction. Here's a question that you may have. Eric, what starter should I use to replace my old starter if I want to transfer over to this design? And that's an excellent question. What I came up with was I went to my parts guy and I told him the vehicle that I was using was a 1994 Mustang GT 5-liter. And he came up with this part number for Ford. Now, this is the third starter that I have put on this vehicle. I've had two other Chinesium ones that I put on there, which frankly, this one may also be Chinese, but the point being is I put two other ones on there and didn't have any luck. So the type of starter that you order is important, but as far as which one to order, I went for a 1994 Mustang GT 5-liter. I hope this information was helpful to you on converting from an old style Ford starter with a divorced solenoid over to the new style Ford starter with the attached solenoid. If you have additional questions, check the description. I often put links down there, including a link to EricTheCarGuy.com, which is where I ask you go if you have automotive questions. Also, my social media links are down there, additional information description. Please check it out. Thank you so much for watching today. Like, comment, subscribe. Really appreciate that. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty. I'll see you next time.